Tim once again from the Indie Bands blog, and today for a change I'm going off to interview a record label called Lorem Ipsum, which for all of you who have got a website will know is, well, that's quite a lot of text in Latin, and they're based in Portland, Maine, apparently, which was the original one. And back in 2012, on the Ides of March, it all gets better. It's all Latin. I think we should just do the whole interview in Latin. They released an EP called "The World Goes," and there were only 92 copies of that CD. I want one. Eric, hiya.
Hi, Tim.
So tell me about Lorem Ipsum. What's that about?
Lorem Ipsum recordings started about a year ago, softly. We put out the Rural Ghosts EP on the Ides of March, like you said. And that, for me, was, it started to get a little bit of attention. That's actually a project of mine. So the label really started off a little bit like a vanity label. It was just this idea of, well, I have this music that I want to put out. I'm not on a label right now, so I guess it's time to start my own. And we started using the name as just a brand for it, and it went from there, and basically started putting on shows last year as part of the Lorem Ipsum Recordings Presents concert series. And we basically would take, 3, maybe 4 bands in the area. We would put together a show, a really nice cohesive night of music. It started to get some attention. People started coming. And it took maybe about a year until things started to realize that, this is real, this is happening. So now, in the beginning of 2013, we are kicking things off proper.
When you said you started off releasing yourself, were you in a band? Or?
Yeah, Rural Ghosts is my band.
Okay.
And actually, that first record that came out, the EP, was all it was all me on the record, and then we started a band not too long after that. We have a cello player, Devin Colella, and we have a drummer, Rob Mitchell, who has a few accolades behind him. He used to play with Moby and Steve Austin, and Today's the Day, so it's been quite a while with these guys.
I counted on your EP that I posted today, the day of recording.
The same.
7 bands. Are you planning on making that wider, or what's the plans with the label?
Oh, we're definitely planning on expanding the amount of artists we work with. We have 7 right now. We probably will have 10 proper before the launch of the launch party of the label, which will be in May. And the idea is to expand it, as much as we can handle and as much as we feel is worth putting out in the community and supporting.
One of the interesting things the real reason I wanted to talk to you, Eric, was the world of record labels are disappearing so far up the backside that they, it's like rats in a sewer. What made you think, and what makes you think that now's the right time to do what you're doing, and what differentiates you from the labels that are now failing?
Well, now is really the worst possible time to be doing anything with the record label, if you want to look at it that way. But the important thing to recognize is that, we are different. It's not your standard label. It's a terrible time to be a standard label. The label that we are trying to create is really a community. And we're trying to foster musicians that, we love, that we're friends with, that we want these people to be heard. It's not an idea of making money for anybody, really. I mean, if any of these bands break and somebody makes a fortune, that's fantastic, but that's not what it's about. So the fact that we operate under those pretenses means that we don't really have to worry about the fact that the music industry is so different than it once was.
So how does that work when it comes to CDs and vinyls?
With our label?
Yeah, I'm thinking when you said that the finances are less important.
Well, I mean, basically what we're trying to do financially is make these things happen without losing money or losing a lot of money. We don't really see this as being something that's going to make anybody rich. So we want to make the best possible physical packages. We want to make all handmade, hand screen printed packages for vinyl and CDs. Vinyl is going to come down the road a little bit because it is more expensive. But if we can do this on a small scale, the releases are going to be probably between 100 and 300 copies per release. So they're not going to be huge releases. It's not going to be a whole lot of money up front. So we're not too worried about that. But the important thing for us is to make a package that somebody can see and instantly gravitate towards and be happy to have on their shelf for the rest of their life.
That's really quite appropriate for me as an old punk rocker who still believes in vinyl. If you can touch it, feel it, then it's good. And it may be vinyl, CD, cassette. I don't know if you remember cassettes.
Oh yeah. We'll be putting a few of those out as well.
And that's great. So what you're talking about is a physical product. That's what you're about, where people can actually own the music they're listening to.
It really is, and like I told you earlier, you really can't well cherish an MP3, which is what I heard from somebody once, and I can't think of a better way to put it. There's just nothing there. We are starting off with some digital stuff just to get the word out and to raise some awareness for the artists, but down the road, we're really not going to be doing much digital, aside from maybe having a digital version of the CD, but there's always going to be a physical package that somebody can hold on to and cherish.
Sure. So Lorem Ipsum, by what you're saying, is going to be limited releases, which makes it probably all the more cherishable.
Exactly. I mean, I'm basing this concept off of old record labels that I fell in love with. In Portland, Maine, we had Time Lag Records, which the vinyls were so heavy that you could knock somebody over the head with one if you wanted to, and they were beautiful, beautiful packages. And this is really something that I've always wanted to do myself, and now it just seems like the right time.
And the May launch, where's that?
The May launch, it is yet to have been planned for a space, but we're going to be doing it in Portland. We're looking at a few spaces now. It's going to be in one of the bigger spaces in Portland. It may be outside of Portland at a place of a friend of mine who's very, very close people. They run a beautiful, intimate venue down there called the Oak and the Axe, so that's something we're thinking about. And that's just going to be basically a big party for the label and all our friends and family. We're going to have everybody on the label play a set. We're going to just talk about what we're trying to do. Everybody's going to meet each other. It's going to be a great time.
That's a long night then.
It's going to be a long night.
Well, I wish I was over in Portland myself. Apart from that, what about the bands on the label? Can you tell me something about what they're up to?
Absolutely. So all the bands on the label are people that I've connected with personally and through, I've played a lot of shows in the past year or so, and I've met a lot of people. So some of these bands are actually not from Portland, like Young Readers, for instance. They're from Oklahoma. And they're unbelievably phenomenal band. We played a show, Rural Ghosts did a show with them back in probably July of last year. And it's one of those things where you just meet people you connect with, you stay in touch with them forever. And so they were one of the first people that I approached when it came to putting this label together. And the same goes with Brett and Lena. Brett is actually an old friend from high school, and he now lives out in the Midwest as well. And he's got this haunting acoustic project with Lena, and they're just making beautiful music. So there's a connection to Portland with everybody that's on the label, but I'm trying to make it clear that not everybody's going to be from Portland per se.
Okay. The first release I heard was very much in the folk genre. When I say folk, it's kind of it's loose folk. It's folk indie. It's creative.
Mm-hmm.
It's underground. Are you planning on expanding that?
Well, I mean, I would say that that's maybe a good representation of the sound of the label. I think you're talking about Young Readers. They were the first track on the sampler.
Much of what's happened so far has been based in the local environs and friends you've got. What if people want to get involved with your label? what can they do? And are you accepting different bands that you don't yet know?
Basically, we love hearing underground music, and there's a submissions link right on the website at loremipsumrecordings.com. And it's basically saying that if you have something that you think that we'd like to hear, please send it over. There's some guidelines in terms of how to do that, but we listen to everything that comes through. It's not always possible to get back to people, but if it seems like a good fit for the label, there's a very good chance you're going to hear from us.
Okay. And for the bands that are on the label, what's their advantage? Do they have a touring package? Do they have... They've obviously got the releases, but is there anything that you're offering to them?
Basically, what I offer with the label, and this can change down the road and it depends upon how things go, but we do a few different things. It's really about getting awareness for the artists. That's the most important thing for me. So there's a lot of promotion involved, surrounded around the releases as well, but we're also we do a show, Lorem Ipsum Recordings Presents, probably every single month or so. And this gets people from the label as well as bands that aren't on the label, trying to make people meet and greet with one another. We want to do cohesive shows with bands that I think are going to make good fits and mesh well together. We're going to be putting out some singles. We're going to be doing something called Split Signal, and this is where one band will trade a song with another band, and they'll kind of do covers of each other's songs to be on a single. So we have a few different ideas like that. It's really about getting awareness for the artists. There's going to be distribution with the releases and all of that too, but I mean the things that we're doing different, I would say, with the other stuff.
That's interesting. And finally, what else is Lorem Ipsum going to do that differentiates itself from... I'll try that again. What else is Lorem Ipsum going to do that differentiates itself from the other labels that are out there, indie labels?
Well, I think the most important thing to realize, or in my mind right now, is that we aren't on that kind of scale with a lot of the, indie label at this point has become such a thrown around word. I mean, there's indie labels that are making millions of dollars, and that's great. But we aren't on that scale for promotion, for financing, or anything like that. So the most important thing for us is to build this small community in Portland, put Portland, Maine on the map, because the reason this really started is that there are so many amazing musicians in Portland. Every time I go out to a show, I'll see somebody that nobody's ever heard of or is just a small following, and I'm floored by it. It's just amazing music. And it needs to be heard, and it needs to be promoted, and it needs to be, and awareness needs to be created. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a community. We're trying to put Portland on the map. There are other labels in the area that are doing really similar things, and they're all friends of ours. And it's there's no competition in terms of that. We're all working together at the same purpose, I think.
So we've talked about Portland, Maine, and helping the local community. What about the worldwide community? As you probably know, as you do know, the Indie Bands blog is an international audience, which goes from, in fact, we've got one hit from Antarctica, and so we've done them all now. How can people, are you interested in bands from other countries, and how can you help them?
We're interested in bands from all over the world, really. I mean, to put it simply, we're interested in bands that are underground, that have, they don't have the support that they need to be heard, but they have something that needs to be heard. It's hard to be a musician and also do the promotion side of things and get your music out there. Sometimes it takes away from the creative process, which is a terrible thing. So what we're trying to do is facilitate that for people. And whether they be based in the UK, whether they be in Portland, whether they be in Antarctica, maybe that guy that came to your website, has a band.
That would be fantastic.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? We can make that happen. But, these releases are going to be going all over the place digitally. They're also going to be shipped. The handmade ones will be shipped all over the world. So it's a much broader reach than Portland. I mean, the first part of this is trying to get these bands that are from Portland to get a little more awareness around the country. But other than that, it's really more about helping small bands.
Okay, so I will put the link to Lorem Ipsum under the video, and anyone out there, bit underground, a bit folky, a bit indie, maybe a bit punky.
Maybe a bit funky. We'd love to have some punk acts. I mean, if you feel like you're a good fit for the label, again, there's a submissions page. Please contact us. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Then follow the link, follow the submission, and you will find Lorem Ipsum. And now we close with a track from their latest EP by Rural Ghost called Eyes.
Thanks, Tim.